my pleasure to introduce Orleans County Assistant Attorney General Mike Russo.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Russo. I'm in charge of the Attorney General's Buffalo Regional Office, which covers the 8 counties of Western New York, including Niagara County. And I want to start by thanking the event's organizers for inviting me to speak here tonight on consumer protection issues. Within the Attorney General's office, we have a Consumer Frauds and a Consumer Protections Bureau, which focuses on protecting consumers by prosecuting businesses that engage in what we call deceptive business practices, unscrupulous conduct by contractors. Unfortunately, when a tragedy strikes, like severe weather events, so too do unscrupulous contractors. I like to point out that 99% of the contractors are honest, but it's the 1 out of 100 perhaps that you have to be aware of, and that I'm here to sort of warn you about their business practices so that you can protect yourself. If you do get into trouble with one of these contractors, be assured that we're there to assist you at the back end, but tonight I'm here to sort of discuss things on the front end to try to keep you out of the problems that oftentimes occur. Now, in the packet that was available when you walked in from the Attorney General's office, there's what we call a consumer protection tip sheet that has about 10 to 12 tips on how to avoid problems when dealing with contractors who may be doing some rip-wrap work on your shoreline property or some concrete walls or whatever work you're doing. The consumer tips will apply to any type of work that you do. So I'd like to just go over a few of those tips with you briefly tonight, and then you can read the information in the packet at your leisure. Now first, determine exactly what type of work you want done, and make sure that the contract is very specific about the type of work you want done. As an attorney, I know that vague contracts can lead to disputes. And when there are disputes, inevitably the unscrupulous contractor is looking for more money on the back end. So on the front end, be sure that you spell out specifically the scope of work that needs to be done, and this will help avoid disputes. Secondly, of course you're going to need a written contract, but that contract should detail with some specificity the work that's going to be done. And very importantly, push the contractor to spell out when the work will begin and when the work is going to end. You don't want a contractor dumping a couple tons of stone in your backyard to do some riprap work and then not show up for 8 weeks. That doesn't do you any good while your backyard is eroding into Lake Ontario. So push the contractor. They may be a little bit resistant because there's so much work out there now that they may be a little hesitant to give you a start and conclusion date. But remember, you've got some bargaining power too. They want your business as much as you want theirs. So push the contractor to spell out the beginning date and the end date the best that you can. Now, this whole contract process can be intimidating. I know it can be intimidating, especially when you're talking about $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 contracts. It's a lot of money and it's intimidating. So specifically to seniors out there, if you're intimidated by this process at all, we encourage you to ask a friend for some assistance when dealing with the contractor. Ask a neighbor, ask a family member, ask a son or daughter. Ask somebody who can provide assistance. There's no shame in asking for assistance. I have an 80-year-old mother. When she's getting brakes done on her car, I go to the car dealer with her and just to help out. So keep that in mind, please. So third, try to get 3 quotes. Okay, I spoke with a resident who had 3 different quotes on some riprap work that needed to be done. One was for $9,000, one was for $16,000, and one was for $23,000. You can see the divergence there, right? So we don't always encourage people to take the lowest bid, because sometimes the lowest bid, you won't get the highest quality work. We're not saying don't take the lowest bid, But if you are looking at the lowest bid, make sure that you check on the reputation of the contractor and make sure you ask for references and then follow through on contacting the references. And try not to just rely on the references given to you by the contractor. When you talk to other people in the community who may have used this contractor, try to get some on your own, because you don't want to rely just on the references that's given to you by the contractor. So, fourth, try to use local companies if possible. They're more responsive. If you get into a problem that unfortunately may need to go to a lawsuit, they're easier to contact for purposes of a lawsuit. So again, these aren't hard and fast rules. I'm not saying don't use a contractor from Pennsylvania or somewhere else, because there may be a shortage of contractors out there and some may come into our community. But when you are dealing with an out-of-state contractor, just be a little extra cautious, because it's harder to get remedies against them, legal remedies, if something goes wrong. Fifth, and this is really a tip designed to protect your pocketbook regarding your potential liability as a landowner, make sure that the contractor has insurance and insist on seeing a certificate of insurance. If somebody gets injured on your property while they're doing work improvements to your property and the contractor doesn't have insurance, you as the homeowner could be held liable for the person who gets hurt on your property. Even though he or she is working for the contractor, you as a landowner could be held liable. So it's critically important. Make sure that your contractor is insured. And don't be shy about asking. And if somebody says, if someone starts to give it a song and dance about, well, I don't have it, or I can't, if they start making excuses, don't go with that contractor. There's a reason they're being evasive. Sixth, when you do decide to hire a contractor, you should try to avoid paying with cash. You should pay with a check. The reason being, we recommend paying in thirds. A third when the work gets started, a third about halfway through the project, and then the last at the end. And the reason we try to avoid having people pay cash is because the money that you pay up front is supposed to be held in an escrow account and can't be drawn down by the contractor until that work is done. So it's sort of like they can take the money as they go along. When the money is sitting, when you pay with check, the Attorney General's office can find out which bank the contractor has your money in if there's unscrupulous business practices that are occurring. If you pay with cash, we have a much more difficult time helping you. So try to avoid paying cash and pay with a check. So as I mentioned earlier, these are just some of 5 or 6 tips that are contained in the tip sheet that's included in your packet. If you have any questions, I'm going to be hanging out after to talk to anybody about any specific issues to your property. And you can also contact the Attorney General's office through our website and our phone number. Again, those are on the tip sheet that's in your packet, so I won't recount them here, but they are in the packet. So remember, when you're dealing with contractors, try to keep these tips in mind to avoid problems on the front end. If you have problems, we're there to help you out, and feel free to give us a call. Okay? Thank you.